Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you four or five. I got really carried away with headlines today, interesting news stories, and get you on your way in about 20 minutes. And we're going to be pushing that 20-minute mark today. But we are going to make it happen. And I have experts with us today. Miss Erin Purdy, the official archivist for Broward County Library. How are you doing
I'm doing great. How are you?
there? Life is good. I have known Erin now for it's been quite a number of years. In and out of here, we set up memory labs. We did all sorts of fun things. Erin is very good with stuff. We're going to talk about what she does for the library at the end here, but she does some great stuff. Now,
I appreciate that.
yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. I do want. This is a hard question for you, Erin. I know, but it's a little rude. I don't think you're 74 years old, are you?
No, not yet.
Can you imagine being 74 years old and laying eggs and giving birth? That's just insane. So this here is the world's oldest bird. Is I'm just baffled by this. So what happened is this species of bird out here, it's an albatross. They're out in the out of Midway, out in the Pacific. Albatrosses are those. You know what albatrosses are, Erin? The big, huge wingspan birds that just kind of fly for forever.
Yeah. Since I'm a historian, I know that sailors used to think that they were like harbingers of doom or like bad. They were bad omens, right?
See, there we go. And they only usually live anywhere between 20 the maximum of 40 years. They happened to be tracking this one for it was 74 years now. She's still going strong. She's outlived 3 lifetime mates, and she just laid more viable eggs this year. I'm just blown away by this one. I was like, there's a lot of horrible things out there in the news that we're all covering. We're going to talk about one of them today. Let's get some fun stories, and this is a fun story.
Yeah. Nature's always like so surprising. You always think we know everything, and then there's always like exceptions to the rule.
So you figure they are anywhere between 5 to 10 years old before they start breeding, and she's been doing this now for 60 years. I was just blown away by that one. And another thing that was so much, by the way, as always, in the show notes, links to all these stories. You can share them, have some fun with this kind of stuff, because there is other good news out there in the animal world. The North Atlantic right whale, which is super endangered. They move from the Gulf of Mexico up through the Gulf Stream, up along the eastern seaboard of the United States, up into Greenland, Iceland area, and then they come back down every year. That's their big migration circle. New babies born. And this is one of those things. Again, these are, this one is 19 years old or so. They haven't tracked exactly which one gave birth to them, but they've got a whole group of drones, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, both state and universities working together to film from afar to not disturb them, what's going on, and finding these new whale births out there. It was just craziness.
Yeah. I thought, one of the most interesting things about the story to me was that they had stopped funding the project for a while, and then they just started again this year. So it's really nice that they got good news out of it.
Yeah. That was it's like there are some things we can afford to fund people. Cameras and somebody to watch a camera. That's not a hard thing. That's good stuff the government can do for you. There's only 370 of these whales left on the planet, and only 70 of them are females who are able to give birth. I mean, when you get a species down to 70 potential members of the species able to give birth, you're in critical conditions. So, okay, one last feel-good story, sort of feel-good story for you. We think maybe they figured out one of the key problems with Alzheimer's, and it's not that. We've talked about it on this show before a couple of times, as they've done a lot of research on the amyloid plaques and all the things that clog up your neurons in your brain. It turns out it might actually be a thing that's missing that allows those plaques to build up. And if you can do something, and that's what this is about, they think they now have an idea of this amyloid beta 42 is what it's called. And if you can maintain higher levels of that, it stops Alzheimer's from happening. Would that be like one of the highest things you could ever fix? Here, there isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like almost everybody knows somebody who's like been affected by Alzheimer's, and it's a horrible disease. So it'd be great to be able to reverse it a little bit.
And so this is the first. It took them 30 years of research and study to be able to break through. Again, leaning on our thing. Pay the scientists. This is what government does. Pay the scientists. Help them figure this stuff out to save all of us. Right?
Yes.
You happy with that, Erin? Do you feel in a good mood now?
Yeah. I feel like it's going to take a turn.
Well, we're going to take a turn. So, what happens when you buy your child a gift and you buy something that's a robot? Everybody's very hyped up on getting robots and being able to do things and work for this kind of stuff around the house. Everybody knows we've got robots working here at the library. This is a special robot that families were encouraged to purchase because they were designed to work with sometimes low-functioning kids, but in general, to work with children, to help with educational stuff, to help them grow up from age, very young age, to be there in the room with them, to work and do lots of safety guards on this thing, all sorts of great child educational things built into it. And now the company's just going to close down and shut off all the robots from the kids. Tell me, Erin, what do you think is a good, help me, make me not super angry about this.
I mean, I don't know how to, I don't know. It is so infuriating, but like this happens all the times with companies where people like rely on their tech, on their IP, and if the company goes out of business or gets bought out or something by private equity, then it just goes away. That's something I kind of deal with in my line of work. I always tell people that they can't rely, on like Google or Facebook to preserve their family memories, because the companies like don't even have clauses in their terms of service that say, that we're going to preserve that stuff. So, from a preservation aspect, like I always tell people, like you have to do it yourself. Like that's the only way that you can. Yeah. You can't rely on the companies to do it for you. They don't.
Yeah. So, and it's not even a thing of it has to get to the internet or anything like that. It could be something that's self-contained and could still work. It's the company chose not to allow that to happen. They're shutting it instead of allowing it for kids to be able to continue to interact with them. They are just shutting them off. And I'm like, okay, so now we're going to go with another AI story this time. Do you think you know who you are, Erin?
I'm learning.
There we go. And so here's this new concept of AI is now so good at imitating people, especially people like me who have a lot of video and audio out there for things, that now the FBI is recommending you have a personal, private passphrase that you use with family to confirm who you are when you talk on the phone, even video calls. When you think you can see the person and you think you know who you're talking to, set up some kind of key phrase like, what would I say? What can I say out loud right now on a recording that my family would know? No way, that's not Bob. I would say something along the lines of Bob loves to eat mayonnaise because everybody in my family knows that would be an entirely incredibly horrible mind break for me to say something like that. Have you ever thought about this one, Erin? About having to, how do you verify how do you prove who you are when the person talking to you sounds and acts just like you?
No, not from this standpoint. When I was a kid, we did have like passphrases that there was like a code word that my mom would say so that we knew it was her when we were talking to her on the phone.
Nice.
And then like we had to, like, if we were okay, we had a password we had to say, and then one if we weren't okay. And luckily we never had to use that.
That's good. That's good. Well planned. That's excellent on your mom's part.
Yeah. But so I guess this idea has been around for a while, but yeah, like tech is just making stuff like that even more important.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons for this is because not everybody will be susceptible to this immediately, but as more and more things are online and more people are able to use these tools quite often for free, then someone could create a clone of my voice and call up some family member and say, in my voice, ask them for something, or say that, oh, wait, I'm in trouble. The example they use here in the article is, somebody calling up their grandmother and saying, hey, I'm in trouble. I need you to wire me this money because I need to get out of jail or whatever. And how do you prove who you are to someone when they don't know who they're talking to? So it's a real challenge sometimes to find out to solve that. What kind of passphrases did you guys use in the past? I'm not telling you to tell me what they were. I'm just saying, like, the kind of thing, like, are you in a safe situation kind of thing?
Yeah, well, no, it was like we were supposed to like sometimes my mom would just straight up ask us, but it was like lines from nursery rhymes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like that is what it was, because we were, I was like really small. This is when I was like 4, 5, 6. But yeah, now I probably would have to. Me and my mom, we should probably update our passphrases. Yeah. We haven't talked about it in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing. See, and you already had this down. She's ahead of her time. That is awesome. That is just awesome. If you thought that was dark, folks, you thought the show's getting dark, just wait till this one. Because their character.ai, which is a company that puts out chatbots, is being sued by some parents because the chatbot tried to talk their teens into killing their parents. And the company, of course, is saying, oh, no, we're not at fault. It's not our problem. We're not responsible for what the product that we released to the public is responsible doing. Have you used any of these chatbots before, Erin?
No. Yeah. I've seen the IT people upstairs mess with them all the time. Yeah. But I don't really mess around with them.
So this is a version of something along the lines of going to ChatGPT or going to Claude or whoever that you're using as your interface to interact with a large language model. This is not voice. This is all chat typing back and forth. Although you could do it by voice, but 99% of them are all doing it by text still. And so there are they're meant to be pseudo friends, which they're not friends. It's just a computer. And friends are people who help you move couches. Think of it that way. And I mean, I have some very fun people that I know online that I've known for decades online, and I trust them as friends. Some random person I just started talking to 2 years ago, no, you're not my friend. And part of the problem with this is being used by kids, by teens, by youngsters to interact, to talk, to fill in, to be a fill-in friend. If they're feeling lonely, they'll start to talk to them and start going back and forth and having conversations and not remembering or not understanding in the first place that this is not a real person on the other end. This is just giving the most expected response might be when you ask this. And this, in this particular case, this company has released these chatbots without any warnings, any blocking of age verifications, which I'm going to get to in just a minute, and how it should be done. And of course, now when the company gets sued, they switched it from 12 years and older to 17 years and older. Still already out there and done. And oh, by the way, this company is not owned by Google, but they're Google employees who left Google to go form this company and then partner with Google. So that's kind of a very thin between the idea of a Google product or not. So tell me, Erin, what do you think about? I mean, have you done any kind of chatbot stuff, or just questioning in with any of the AI models that are out there?
I don't know. This story kind of reminded me of like Replica. I don't know if you remember Replica. It was it was really similar, and it was basically like they would have like an avatar, and like that avatar became like your friend or like your confidant, and like I actually knew someone who was like in their early 20s who, as the company progressed, like they started charging money to use the service, and so they were like paying like all this money every month to like keep their friend, and then eventually the company folded, and it was like their friend died, you know, and it was like really psychologically damaging to them. Yeah. So I don't know this. Yeah, like a chatbot is like a lot less personified, I guess you could say, because it's just like general.
It's a good word for it, yeah.
I don't know. It's still, I don't know. It is kind of interesting how attached people and how invested people can get into AI models like this.
Yeah, and partially it is because it is marketed and used by younger people, teens, and even younger. And I would think most adults who have a well-centered personality, who have been out in the world, will understand that this is just a computer, this is not a real person, etc. One of the things that one of my other problems with this, which I think is almost as scary, is they want to insist on proving that you're not a child to use the product. You want to give all your private personal information, Erin, so that you can prove you're not a child?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't interact with the chatbots in the first place, is I don't even want to feed into it. Like I especially don't want to like have to send them like my driver's license.
I know. I'm like, wait, this is not something that we should be even thinking about. Part of the problem is the companies themselves. If your chatbot is so smart, if your AI is so smart to be able to detect and understand all these things, it understands and knows that it's talking to a minor. or you're misleading us on how good your product is. Okay, we're gonna try and end on a happier note. This is actually from one of our listeners. We're not going to get too deep into it, but there is a happier AI story out there where somebody developed an AI to pretend to be a grandmother who's not quite understanding why you're calling her, and is meant for all those scammers and all those people calling you, telemarketers, etc., who call you. It automatically gets shunted to this grandmotherly like voice, and the AI just keeps them on the line and keeps going and takes it off of your plate and gives it to an AI to waste their time and stop them from doing things. I don't know. Do you think it's a happy story, Erin?
I guess in some ways, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the spam calls and like all those scammers, like a lot of those people are in like in bad situations too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, like they have pretty. It's pretty. It's very
They're
bleak
working in some
industry,
sweatshop
yeah.
in some
Yeah,
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 non-Western
a lot of
country.
them. Yeah, they're like being held against their will and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that they, you know, I don't think people should get scammed. But oh,
Yeah.
it's so crazy. I don't know. I always like. I don't know. There's lots of people in real life who do this, like who try to waste like the scammers' time, and there's even some
Yep.
people who do it for a living online, right? Like there's like streamers who do it all day, every day. But I don't know if like you can use AI to kind of fight that crime and make
Yeah.
it like less profitable too for the criminal organizations that are running the scam centers in the first place. I think it's good.
Along those lines, what upsets me about this is the phone company knows, because the phone company's making money by forwarding the calls, by allowing them onto the phone company's servers to send out these phone calls and these messages. The phone company knows. They could just say, no, we're not going to allow it on. But they allow it on because they make money by charging the people to put it onto their networks. And now they're making me waste my time. Okay. So I don't know if we got back to a happy ending, but we got to a pretty better spot than we did in the middle of the show. So thank you very much, Miss Erin, for that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. They're interesting stories.
I want to tell us a little bit about what you've got going on there, because Archivist for Broward County Library's Special Collections seems to entail a whole heck of a lot. Give us, in 30 seconds, tell us all of those things.
Oh, okay. Well, the Broward County Library Special Collections, we actually have 3 repositories. We have the Bienes Museum, which is the library's rare book repository. We have books dating back to the 1700s, and they're completely accessible to the public. Anybody can come look at the rare books. We also have the Broward County Historical Archives, which is our local history repository. So it's mostly late 19th and 20th century materials, but we recently started collecting born digital collections. So emails, digital photographs, like Word files and PDFs and stuff like that. We just started collecting born digital materials last month. So we're moving into the 20th century and like modern collecting practices. And then our third repository is the Arlick Special Collections at the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. And that's where we collect materials related to Africans and people of African descent all over the world. So we have materials from Africa, South America, the Caribbean, and also the United States.
And you were one of the lead people to do that virtual Arlick project. To start
virtual
3D.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have a 3D scanner. And so there's a lot of artifacts in the Arlitt collection that we've digitized and put online. And you can like spin the 3D image around and like see every like nook and cranny of those objects. And we also we're in the process right now of scanning the WPA collection artifacts here that are in the Bienes Museum. So those are from like the Great Depression era. WPA, the Works Progress Administration that FDR started. And
if you're down here in South Florida, you've got to come see these collections. They're amazing. These little models that were traveling around the country in the 1920s, and we have them sitting in a room at Main Library in downtown Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, we have like the largest, most comprehensive collection of these materials, and I think right now it's a really great time to be digitizing them because they're just remnants of publicly funded, government funded projects that really helped educate Americans, and bring,
Again,
knowledge
that's
to the
what we
world.
do.
And so we're preserving that and also telling the story of the good works and everything like
Yeah.
that. So.
Thank you very much for being here, Miss Erin. As always, if there is a library or librarian you want to see featured on the show, or a story like our last story was, send them in, creationstation@broward.org. And we'll see everybody next week. Have fun.
Thank you.